Welcome to the Movie Cheer podcast. I am your host, AP, aka Mr. Movie Cheer, and we are back for another edition of Movie Topics. And today's movie topic on the Movie Cheer pod is Toy Story Dream Movie Spinoffs. That is right, we're going to delve into the topic and look at some potential dream ideas. I've got my creative juices going today, and I thought it'd be cool to just think of some spin-offs because we got the Lightyear movie spin-off coming soon, the Buzz Lightyear spin-off movie, which tells the story of the actual Buzz Lightyear astronaut that the toy line was based on. So I thought, what other spin-offs could come from the Toy Story universe? And I picked out a few today, a few that I'm really looking forward to deep diving into. So that will be today's headline topic, looking at some dream plots and dream story ideas for Toy Story movie spin-offs. And that will be later on in the show. But before we get to the main part of the show, the headline topic, we like to start the Movie Cheer podcast off with some not-so-worthy blockbuster housekeeping. This is the part of the show where we ease into things, discuss what's going on with the community here, what's going on with the channel, and it's just a general chit-chat to set us up for the rest of the show. So, not so worthy blockbuster housekeeping for this week. What's been going on with the channel here at Movie Cheer Podcast? Let's see. So, first of all, we have a bit of a future video, but I mean, planning ahead. I'm in the game. I feel like everything is going well with planning and stuff for content so far this year, and this comes soon next week. So now, I've been thinking about this. When a big movie comes up, so we got the Batman coming up next month in March, and I thought, with these sort of big movies, and I know we've done them on the show before, where we do like a prediction show, and kind of like scheduling a few ahead of time, like Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, like a week or so before that one, we'll do a prediction show. Some of the big blockbuster movies that are coming out this year, I'm going to do some prediction shows for them because they're definitely movies I'll be checking out at the cinema. The Batman is one I'm going to be checking out the day one for sure. I've not bought the tickets yet for Batman, but I'm definitely going to be watching that. I can't wait to see that one. But next week on the Movie Cheer podcast, it is going to be Batman, the Batman, not just a Batman, it's called the Batman. I wonder what they're going to call him in the film. Are they going to say, "Here's Batman" or "Here's the Batman"? That'll be interesting. I think it's gotta be "Here's the Batman," isn't it? But we're gonna do a prediction show next week on the Movie Cheer podcast, so that'll be a fun show. But that's just a bit of a teaser for what's to come for next week's show. I'm looking forward to doing that and to looking at the movie's basis of the plot and just thinking out what could come in that. So that's going to be exciting to, again, another one where the creative juices start flowing and it's a guessing game. I love that before I go into like a big blockbuster movie like that, just thinking about what's going to come and what's I remember I did one years ago on the YouTube channel, and it was when the channel wasn't really based solely around movie topics. It was a bit of a mix and match of different types of content. I honestly thinking about it, I honestly don't know what the true basis of this channel was. It was all over the place, content all over the place. But I remember doing a video when The Force Awakens came out, and I'm sure it's still on the channel unless everyone listed it. Maybe check it out just for laughs if you just want to laugh at someone who's like not that confident on camera. I feel like I've definitely grown in confidence over the years on camera. I feel a lot more confident at ease now, but I think a couple of years back I probably wasn't as confident. I was a bit more yeah, these are my predictions. A bit more a bit more uncomfortable. But yeah, I remember doing the Force Awakens predictions video a few years back, and I honestly don't know what the predictions were at the time. I don't know. I think there was one, and it was like Rey's staff was. It's shown Rey's, like, she had like this staff in the movie what she carried around when she was in the desert, and I was like, one of my predictions was that is going to be a lightsaber. She'll pull it apart and it'll turn out to be a lightsaber in disguise. That didn't come true. So already, you know my predictions are going to be absolutely garbage. So maybe miss out next week's show because it's not going to be worth watching. No, honestly, check it out next week. So that's coming up next week on the Movie Cheer podcast. The Batman predictions show, going to be a great show to deep dive in to that topic. What's been going on with the channel this week? We had a new video on the channel this past week. It was the video about meaningful movies in my collection. So I was discussing what movies have a true meaning to me. And what I mean by this meaningful movies, I mean movies that have a connection to me personally. And I'm sure you out there will have movies like this in your collection, movies that have a bit of a story behind them, connection to you. Maybe you went and seen them at a cinema and it was a really special occasion, and maybe it's a very memorable occasion, or maybe you just had such an awesome time watching that film and you just come out. I mean, one for me, The Dark Knight was such a memorable, meaningful movie for me, going and seeing it at the cinema. And I mean, that is definitely for me a meaningful movie because it's just I have that experience attached to it. But yeah, did this video this past week. It was a bit of a different topic than normal, I suppose, but I'm really enjoying just doing some of these very different topics like meaningful movies, and just to talk about the value of film and the value and why I enjoy film. And I think that's important, and that's why I want this film to be talking about movies, but also talking about why movies make me cheerful and why movies make you cheerful as well. That's the whole point. That's the whole point in Movie Cheer. But that was a video that came out this past week. We had also last week on the Movie Cheer pod, we had the Super Cheer. I've got cheer in my head. We had the Super Bowl movie special. My predictions. It was a theme show discussing American football movies and doing like a predictions on the actual Super Bowl event. Look, my prediction did come true for that, so that is one prediction. So I'm up on the prediction scale now, which is a thumbs up. I enjoyed doing that show. I thought it was a really fun show to do. I had some really nice feedback as well, and really nice feedback from the community, and a really enjoyable show. The prediction come true, and look, for more of these event shows, we're definitely going to have more of these type of shows on the channel moving forward. Definitely coming up, the WrestleMania event, I think that's in April. There will be a special event, WrestleMania movie show for that. I'm planning ahead right now and looking at movies that feature wrestlers. And so if any pre-recommendations for that of like wrestling movies that you'd think I'd like, definitely send them in. I'd love to discuss them on the show for that particular one. But I think any big events now that come up similar to that, I mean, I'm quite happy to do that. I think they're fun, and it's a little break from the normal topics. I think it's just a fun little occasion to do them sort of special themed episodes. So anyway, so that's the Super Bowl out of the way, and like I said, more specials to come throughout the year in 2022. Over on Patreon, just a little quick update on Patreon the past week or so. This last Monday, or Monday of this week, we had the first edition of TV commentary tapes. It's a new thing to the Patreon, so it's basically audio commentaries on TV shows. I didn't want to do movies because I think I would, if I had to listen to my own voice for an hour and a half, I would be super bored. So 20 to 30 minutes, we're looking at like sitcoms and stuff like that. So I did a audio commentary for the first episode of the American sitcom Frasier this past week, a show I really enjoy, and it was really fun doing that commentary. It is just purely the audio track of me doing the commentary, but it is meant so you can watch it along with Frasier, and it's kind of like, one of those where you can have it on while you're watching it if you want it there. But I thought it was just something different to the Patreon. We're varying up Patreon now. We did like so it's going to be one piece of content every Monday on Patreon. It varies every week. This past week as well, I've recorded a new podcast for coming out maybe this coming week or the week after. It'll be another episode of In Another Universe. This one is the topic is revolved around time travel in movies and time travel in real life. If you got a real life DeLorean, how would things go? And that's the kind of the topic, the plot of that episode. So that'll be a fun one, I'm sure, to listen to, and more bonus content coming up. We're gonna, for this episode today, the Toy Story movie spin-off, Dream Spinoffs ideas episode. There is going to be a Movie Cheer Pod Plus coming up on probably actually this coming Monday. Movie Cheer Pod Plus. I'm going to hopefully record one of those for this topic with some more extra plots and story ideas for that as well. Patreon, you can start at $1 to join Patreon. You get access to all the bonus podcasts, bonus videos that have all previously been there, webcomics, and it's just supporting the Movie Cheer podcast to grow even more. Don't feel like you have to join. Just feel that if you do want a bit more extra content, it is there for you, waiting at any time. But anyway, that is the not-so-worthy Blockbuster housekeeping out the way for today's show. Let's move on with the headline topic. So today's headline topic, Toy Story Dream Movie Spin-off ideas. So basically, I want to look at Toy Story as, we had the 4 Toy Story movies so far. We're getting the Lightyear spin-off that is coming out this year, and I feel like there's definitely room for more spin-offs of the main Toy Story. Just like the characters and like basing off like certain characters, I think there's room for different types of stories to be told here with Pixar and with Disney. And it really excites me because I'm a big fan of the Toy Story movies. I've always enjoyed them. I don't think there's one in particular that I dislike. I remember Toy Story 2 wasn't one I was always fond of as a kid, but I've watched it recently again. I do enjoy it a lot more. And but overall, like the whole every movie, I always thought number 4 was probably they probably could have ended it on 3 and that would have been enough. And I always felt like 4 was a bit like they were just trying to make money, and probably, they probably were because it makes a lot of money. But equally, the story wasn't that bad as well. I think they had like the perfect send-off to the original trilogy, and like number 4 was just like an added bonus, really, because it was still a decent movie. So yeah, I enjoy all their movies, and like I said, I'm going to go into 4 separate stories, movie spin-offs, potential spin-offs that I would like to see. And these are all dream spin-offs, and look, maybe these never happen, but let's deep dive into them. Let's go with these potential dream movie spin-offs. So, spin-off number 1. Number uno. Right, we have got Toy Story spin-off number 1, Owl's Toy Barn. That is right, Owl's Toy Barn. So, Toy Story 2 had a character called Owl McWiggin. Am I getting that? Yeah, Owl McWiggin. Owl McWiggin, that's correct. He was the manager, he was the guy who captured Woody, he stole Woody, and he wanted to make the Roundup collection from the Roundup TV show, Woody's Roundup, complete the collection to send it off. And basically, he stole Woody, and he was the centerpiece of that story. And then we see the actual location, Owl's Toy Barn. It was like a big toy store set in the Toy Story world where the toys go to try and find Woody. And I think, look, this is one where you could do 2 stories here. You could either do something set after Toy Story 2, but I think it would be better if they did, do a story set before this, because you can feature some of them characters like Jesse, Bullseye, is it the Prospector? You can feature them, you can feature Al potentially, but I think rather than feature the toys in this, I would do it a story that features Al, and kind of like Cobra Kai. I've not watched much of this Cobra Kai, but I know like Johnny, the main guy in Cobra Kai, the TV spin-off of the Karate Kid movies. He was the villain in the Karate Kid movies, but in that show they've made him kind of like the hero from what I see. Now, Al was the main guy in the Chicken Man out of Toy Story 2. He was the villain, really, one of the villains anyway, like a sub-villain, I suppose, in the Toy Story 2 movie. But you can sort of like make him more of a lovable, likable character in doing this Owl's Toy Barn movie. So, how do? You could do it like them actually setting up this toy business, and maybe, tell the story of why he wanted to set up this toy business, and he opens this toy store for the first time, and maybe there's people who are trying to shut down his toy store, and he just wants to sell toys because he loves toys. and you see a story of a man who just genuinely loves toys and he just wants to sell toys to kids, and maybe that's a story. And then you see along the way, maybe you see like a little side road of where he could go into them like villainous ways where he's stealing Woody and stealing toys and stuff like that. But I think Owl's Toy Barn would be a really decent spin-off. I think if you have the right story in there, the right setting. First of all, everyone knows that term Owl's Toy Barn. I think a lot of people who watch the Pixar movies and watch Toy Story know of Owl's Toy Barn. So if you had an Owl's Toy Barn movie straight away, I think you can have a bit of interest there. And look, like I said, you could do it two ways. You could do it set before Toy Story 2, where you have the coming together of this shot. Maybe Owl's starting the store, or maybe he's in the middle of the store and something happens within the store where there's some sort of story, some plot there. Or you could do it set directly after Toy Story 2 as well, where he loses Woody and all the rest of the toys and the collection, the Roundup collection, and he's got to go back to the toy store, and he's got to move forward and maybe move with a new adventure. Maybe it's an adventure about Al, him discovering his life or something, like find out what his personal life's about. I think Pixar movies in general are really good at delving into personal relationships. I look at Up as a very significant one and really dealing into friendships and relationships, and it's I think Pixar do it really well, and I think you could take a character like Al, who's probably not the most likable character, but you could flesh him out a bit more, give him a bit more of a backstory, and make him more likable, and make him like a good part of the story. So my choice number 1 is Owl's Toy Barn. Choice number 2, so plot dream movie spin-off choice number 2, will be the B players of the Toy Story movies go on a road trip. Now, what I mean by the B players, I mean like Ham, the pig. I didn't realize his name was Ham, but his name's Ham. You have Rex, Slinky, Mr. Potato Head. I know the actor. I think was it Don Rickles who done the voice for Mr. Potato Head. I believe he has passed now, so I don't know how you do it with him. Maybe you get another voice artist in, or you could use archive footage of the voice for this potentially. But do a road movie. I've kind of got it fleshed out a bit this. So it's a road movie set after Toy Story 4. So after Toy Story 4, the rest of the toys go back to the nursery, and you have this road movie now where basically it's set in the nursery at first, and they decide this toy that comes along, and it's a very rare toy. Now I love this because I listen to like podcasts about toys, wrestling figures, and I hear about all like these like limited edition toys and like variants of toys that are really like pricey toys. So imagine they're in this nursery, the toys, and all these B player toys like Rex. You have, like I said, Mr. Potato Head, Ham, and Slinky. You have these toys, and maybe some new fresh characters as well thrown in there. So we have like maybe you have Forky as well in there. You could put Forky in there, but basically you have this rare toy gets thrown to this nursery with all these kids. It's like lost toys. A toy is handed in, and it turns out this toy explains to the rest of the toys that he or she is super rare. It's a variant, and they're like, "What's a variant?" And they explain they're like a limited edition toy, and that the creator, the owner, just like they got lost, they got separated at some point, and the owner would be devastated that they lost this toy because it was so rare. And it could be a story, and maybe the story concludes that the owner was going to go to this big giant toy convention like a Comic-Con, because we get them over here in the UK, and I think you get them in the US as well, these big toy conventions that are very similar to Comic-Con, where you get all like Hasbro and all the other toy brands going to there and showing off the new toy lines. So it ends where they had to go on this road movie, this adventure to this big toy convention. And at this toy convention, they meet all these other toys, and maybe some are villainous toys and some are heroes. You kind of a bit of a Toy Story 2, but a toy convention aesthetic. It's big, it's crowded. And the end of the plot of the story, the main goal of the story is to reunite this limited edition variant toy with its owner and have this big road movie. And I think for me, it would have a story that highlights some of the B part players in the Toy Story movies, the characters that weren't Buzz and Woody, basically, and also introduce maybe, like I said, a few new characters in there as well to go in this road movie. You could have a cameo from the likes of a Buzz Lightyear toy, but maybe he's like, I'm not going on this quest, I'm staying here, I'm staying at the nursery. I think it would be a really cool movie, and I've got a title for it. Here's the title. So you have Toy Story, it's a road trip movie. How about this? Toy Trip. That's my movie. That's my movie. Copyrighted here. I've got it here. So if Pixar want to come at me with £1 million or £1 billion for the Toy Story Toy Trip idea, I'm all ears. I'm all ears. That is Toy idea, spin-off movie idea number 2. Let's move on to movie. This is really fun. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. More fun than I actually thought I would. Movie dream spin-off movie of the Toy Story franchise, number 3 now. So, we had in Toy Story 2, back to Toy Story 2 again. In that movie, we discovered that Woody, the toy Woody, was based on a TV show that ran in the 1950s called the Woody's Roundup, and it was like these puppets, and then like a big toy line. It was a big craze over cowboy toys then, and the toys were based on the puppets in the show. Now, we realised that in Toy Story 2, but what if we had a very meta movie, a movie within a movie, basically? We see a movie similar to what they do with Lightyear now, where we're seeing what the basis of Lightyear was. What if we see, though, a story about the making of Woody's Roundup? So I've been looking online. So apparently Woody's Roundup, the TV show, within the movie series, it ran from 1949 to 1957. Wouldn't it be cool to see a story? I think they've done this with, I'm pretty sure they did this with Mary Poppins a few years back. They had a movie, I'm sure it was Mary Poppins, where they shown the making of Mary Poppins, and they did a movie about, like a biopic movie, about the making of Mary Poppins. And I remember seeing it briefly. I've not seen it all, but what I seen of it, it looked really fun. And it was like they were showing them making the music and the writers and stuff like that. But what if you have this, like this popular show, but how they made this popular show? So you've got the writers coming up with this idea. They want to make this puppet show about cowboys because westerns are big at the time, and they want to make this puppet show about this character Woody and all his gang, and they call it Woody's Roundup, and they want to do it with puppets. And they have the making of it, and it goes to the eventual cancellation of the show. The show gets cancelled in the end, and then we see the creators of the show, then the life stories and making the puppets. And this would not be a movie for me personally. It wouldn't be a movie where the toys are talking, the puppets are talking, nothing like that. It would be solely focused on the human characters and them creating this show, Woody's Roundup. So I think it would be a really cool idea. I think a lot of people would go to Woody's Roundup as an idea for a prequel. And I think especially when you hear now about them doing the Lightyear movie, you think, what could be next? If they do some sort of spin-off like this again, and I think a lot of people's thoughts would say, Woody's Roundup, you do something with that property. And I think, again, similar to Owl's Toy Barn, it's a noticeable name. And if you watch Pixar and you watch Toy Story, if they come out tomorrow and they announce a Woody's Roundup movie, no matter what it would be, what the premise would be, I think it strikes a lot of interest. I mean, I think if they do any movie that has Toy Story spin-off, or it alludes to the fact that it's a Toy Story spin-off, it's got interest. But if you feature the puppets, the actual toys, and you see Woody, the character, the making of the puppet and stuff like that, and you see maybe you see like the voice actors and the puppeteers, them filming an episode, and then you see the audience's reaction to this grand show, and maybe at first it's not a popular show, but then eventually people start watching it, and then it gathers like loads of popularity. The writers become household names, and you see them dealing with that, and maybe there's like a breakup of the writers. They decide that one's going to go one way, and that becomes the end of the cancellation of the show. We don't know why it was cancelled, as far as I know, and that's it. It leaves a lot of question marks. It also leaves a lot of room for writers to really get creative with the story there. So I think Woody's Roundup, doing that sort of story, like a story within a story there, would be really cool to watch. Now, let's go to the final choice of today, the fourth and final choice of the Toy Story Dream Movie Spinoffs. So my fourth choice is this. This was one I was thinking of, and I was thinking, I was getting a pen and paper down today, getting a notepad out, and just thinking, what could these ideas be? So I've got this idea, and again, this is another one where it won't be focused on toys, and the idea is a story based on the life of Andy, the kid who owns Woody and Buzz for the first 3 movies until he gives them away to the nursery to the kid Bonnie at the end of Toy Story 3. He gives the toys away when he's 17. So basically, the rest of his life is unknown. Wouldn't it be cool to see a life of Andy? That's what you call it. You call it Life of Andy. And basically, or you just call it Andy. I mean, they got these movies called Luca now and a few other ones like that. Mulan, you could just call it Andy. But I think Life of Andy, you have a story taking place straight after the end of Toy Story 3, where it then shows Andy going to college. And again, we don't really know what he's going to do at college, so it's an open book. But I thought, wouldn't this be really nice if we have like a Forrest Gump-like story, where we see Andy doing all these remarkable things throughout his life. We see him, he goes to his first job. Maybe he goes on like a grand adventure somewhere, or maybe he joins the army, or he becomes a movie star, or some crazy, just over the top things that happen. But he has a life where he does like tons of different remarkable things, like Forrest Gump, a Forrest Gump-like life. But it ends on him becoming a toy maker, because he does all these crazy things, like he becomes a movie star, or he becomes like an extreme pilot or something, or like one of these extreme snowboarders or something like that. I'm imagining tons of different things. But the end outcome always comes to he becomes a toy maker. He gets to maybe like he's like mid-30s, 40s, 50s or whatever, and he decides that he wants to do something that he really loves, and he wants to do something he was passionate about, and he thinks about his life, and he thinks, what were the the times in his life where he was super happy? And he realizes that the times he was really happy is when he was a kid, when he was playing with his toys, and when he was making up these stories with these toys, and he was playing and really letting go of his imagination and just letting it go wild. And he thinks to himself, I'm going to create my own toy line. So then we see, really early on in the movie, this decisive move where he wants to do this toy business. And it's, again, you could say this is similar to what the Owl's Toy Barn story could be, but I see this as more of like him making toys as like a manufacturer guy, and maybe it's like in Home Alone 2 where you got that big toy shop, and Andy at the end, he has like this massive toy shop, and it's all the toys he's built over the years, but you see him at the end of the story where he's like in his 90s or he's 100, and he's just got all these toys, and you see his life of creating these toys, and you see what is like the inspiration for the toys were. Maybe he went on an adventure, or you see him creating this toy, and then you see a grand adventure to see what the inspiration with the toy was. Maybe he's building this bird toy, and he's building this toy, and he's sketching it all out, and he's like, I remember where this idea come from. It was when I was in this jungle somewhere, and a bird attacked me, and then the bird became friendly because I wrestled the bird at first, and then I saved the bird from getting injured. And then he decides to create this bird-based toy on this friendly bird that becomes his friend in the end. And just ideas like that. But I think it would be a fun like story concept, having this like Forrest Gump-like story of this character Andy that is very much beloved within the Toy Story universe. And that's my final idea, my final pitch to Disney and Pixar. Fingers crossed they give me a call, or the Disney or Pixar leave a comment in the comments below if you want to get in contact with Mr. Movie Cheer about these ideas. But do I honestly think there will be any more Toy Story movie spin-offs after Lightyear? Look, I will be honest, I think this is a franchise that has made billions of pounds, billions of dollars. I think Lightyear is going to be super successful as well. I think it's going to be a very likable movie. I think a lot of people will really enjoy this. It's a family movie. People like family movies. It's a Disney movie. It's a popular character. You got Chris Evans involved as well. I think a lot of people will go and watch that. I think there's room for it. for me, the fact that they made Toy Story 4 after Toy Story 3 being so great and so amazing of a sign-off movie, to me, it tells us all that they want to do more because they know they can make money from this. Look, it's a movie business. They're out to make movies for money. It makes, they're not in it for the fun. I mean, the creators are, but the guys at the top, the ladies and the gents at the top, they're there to make money. So if they think the franchise can make money, which Toy Story does, they will definitely make more spin-offs. I think even if Lightyear didn't reach the targets of what Toy Story reaches, I still think there's opportunities to make more Toy Story spin-offs along the line. And I hope we do. I hope we get more because I really like the Toy Story movies. But anyway, that is the end of today's headline topic. Let's move on with the rest of the show with the movies for the weekend. So, movies for the weekend for this week. I've got two choices as always. Basically, movies for the weekend. It's a part of the show where I give you my movie choices, movie recommendations if you're looking for something to watch this weekend. And on today's picks, we have two great choices. So, first of all, we're talking about Toy Story here. Tom Hanks, big part of the Toy Story movies, the voice of Woody, and a movie I really enjoy, really good war movie, Steven Spielberg movie, Saving Private Ryan. Fantastic movie, absolutely some great war scenes in this, just like the visuals on this are stunning, absolutely stunning, and it's just a really good movie. Best director in 1990, I didn't realise it was 1998 this movie was out, that is surreal, how long ago this was released, but yeah, it's such a fantastic film, still holds up. I think this is going to hold up for a long time. This movie is a great film to watch. If you're looking for something to watch this movie at the weekend, and if you like I think you've got to like war movies, really, to enjoy that. But this one, the next choice, I believe, is one for everyone. One of my favourite movies of all time, Nicolas Cage, Walt Disney movie, National Treasure. They're doing a spin-off TV show, I believe, more on Disney Plus soon. And I think it's going to be linked to the movies, which is cool as well. So we might potentially get a Nicolas Cage cameo in there, which would be really exciting to see. But the National Treasure movie, the first one, is just fantastic. It's just an all-out adventure. If you like movies like Indiana Jones, the Mummy movies, the 90s Mummy movies, you will like National Treasure. It's, like I said, it's one for the whole family. It's nothing too heavy, but it's just a really good adventure of these treasure hunters, basically. I love this film. I think it's Nicolas Cage in his prime. Superb film. Well worth checking out if you're looking for something to watch this weekend, ladies and gents. But now we move to another part of the show now. We move to the part of the show called the Amazon Top 10. This is a Amazon Top 10 is where I give you the top 10 bestsellers this week on Amazon for DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K releases on the movies section, physical media. And let's go, what is on the Amazon Top 10 for this week, ladies and gents. So, I think it's very similar to what last week's Top 10 is. I don't think it's many big changes, really, but we start off with number 10. We have... Sorry about that, I just had a bit of a cough. Venom on DVD, Let There Be Carnage, the second Venom movie. At number 10. Number 9, we have the Blu-ray of The Eternals. At number 8, we have the DVD of Eternals. At number 7, we have Ghostbusters Afterlife on Blu-ray. Number 6, we have Ghostbusters Afterlife on DVD. The original director, I think is it Ivan Reitman, I believe his name was, because it was Jason Reitman who directed his son directed Afterlife, and he passed away this past week, I believe. So obviously, sad to hear that if to any Ghostbusters fans, and obviously condolences to his family. Ghostbusters Afterlife is at number 6. Number 5, we have the 4K of Dune. Number 4, we have number 5, the 4K of Dune. At number 4, we have the DVD of Dune. The Blu-ray of Dune is at number 3. And then we have No Time to Die at number 2, the DVD of that. And as I said last week, Disney's Encanto, the DVD of that is at number 1. It dethroned James Bond, No Time to Die. And it took it off the top 10 at number 1 place. And I don't think No Time to Die is going to ever come back. I think Encanto... I've heard so much about Encanto over the past few weeks now, and I keep on hearing more and more from it. I am intending to watch that as well this weekend. Encanto, that is one I was hoping to watch it this past week, but I didn't get around to watching it. But I'm gonna sit down and watch Encanto hopefully this weekend at some point. I'm looking forward to watching that because everyone is saying it's like a new Frozen. It's going to be the next Frozen. So I'm excited to see. I don't even know if I've seen Frozen. I think I might have seen bits of Frozen, but yeah, I've never. Yeah, I've got to watch that. Encanto. I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, that is the Amazon Top 10 over for today's show. Let's move on to the next part of the show called What's Been on the Screen. This is the part of the show where I discuss what has been on my screen this week, from DVD, from movies to TV to video games to books. I've been rereading the Watchmen book, graphic novel. Great book. I really enjoyed that. So started reading that this past week again. Read it a few times before. But what else has been on my screen this week? Well, Peacemaker. The Peacemaker finale came out this past week, and I will give you spoilers for the whole of Peacemaker, and especially the finale of Peacemaker in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So spoilers ahead for Peacemaker finale and the season as a whole. What can I say? First of all, the show was great. I had a lot of fun watching it. John Cena was phenomenal, and I think it was... Look, I enjoyed the Suicide Squad movie. I thought it was a good movie, but I was thinking, this Peacemaker TV show, what's it going to be like? Will it, it wasn't, he was a decent enough character in the movie, but I thought, will he be able to hold his own in a TV show? And he held his own. John Cena and the rest of the cast were great as well. But John Cena has really, he surprised, it really surprised me, because I didn't think he would be able to hold his own in a main role in a main DC TV show like this for HBO Max. But it looks like WWE is just breeding A-star actors. They had The Rock, they had Batista, who's doing well, with Guardians of the Galaxy. We have John Cena now doing the same thing, and I'm sure there's going to be more in the future, like Roman Reigns. I wouldn't be surprised if he does more in the future when he decides to walk away from wrestling eventually. But it's a great show. I love the finale. I love it when they're going up against the big butterflies and the big cow, which is like this big caterpillar-like alien. I love all the different helmets he has, so like for all the different powers. What I loved in the end is, like, I thought he was gonna like team up with the aliens, and they were saying they want peace just like him, the butterflies. And there was a moment there where I thought, he's going to join them, and he's going to do something to save the butterflies. And then he just decides to shoot the head butterfly, and then he aims the bullet. The bullet helmet is on Adebayo's head. She goes flying through the caterpillar, destroys the caterpillar, and then he shoots the leader in the head. And the leader doesn't die because it goes to John Cena at the end. What was really good as well, we had this big cameo, because this was saved from all like the critics because they didn't want anything getting leaked out. And basically, in the end, there was a cameo from the Justice League. There's a little bit of a joke early on. It's where Adebayo is ringing up Amanda Waller, her mother, saying, "Can you not even get like a Justice League to come and help us?" And in the end, the Justice League turn up after the mission is done. They're walking up the field, and John Cena's like Peacemaker is going like, "You're too late. You're too late." And you see, of the Justice League, it's Wonder Woman, Superman, Aquaman, and the Flash turn up. And you see, in the centre, it's Aquaman and the Flash. And you see a silhouette of them all at first. And you think, I thought to myself, they're not actually going to show them. It's just going to be a silhouette. But they actually show Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller, who play Aquaman and Barry Allen, the Flash, respectively. And they just showed the silhouette of Superman and Wonder Woman, so it wasn't obviously Gal Gadot or Henry Cavill playing them roles. But then there's like a joke where they say about Aquaman. There was a joke earlier on the show. I'm not going to say it on the show to keep it PG, but basically it's a funny little thing. And what I liked about it as well, the cameo was great, but it didn't overshadow the show. It was so little, and I'm glad they did it like that, because I didn't want like an Aquaman coming to save the day, because it would have taken away from the fact that it's a Peacemaker show, and you're trying to build up Peacemaker as this main guy. And to think they had the Justice League thrown in there. There was no Batman, but Batman wasn't shown, so obviously with all the Keaton and Affleck stuff. They want to obviously leave that there at the moment, and Cyborg wasn't featured as well. But it was cool that we actually got a show that was the Peacemaker, and obviously all the Peacemaker's acquaintances on the team. It was their show, and it wasn't taken over by a Justice League cameo, and that says a lot about it. It says we had a big Justice League cameo at the end of it, where two main movie stars from the Justice League movie shown up, and for me, it didn't take away from it being Peacemaker's show, and it's still, for me, the main guy and the main buzz about that ending was, the action scenes, then battling the cow, battling the aliens, and the story between all them friends. That was the main part of the show, and it was just an extra bit of buzz having Justice League, and I love that, and I'm glad they didn't put in like a Idris Elba, his character, Bloodsport, or anyone like that. I think it would have just taken away from Peacemaker. I want to see them characters in their own shows. I want to see that happen, but for this show, I think they did the right thing. James Gunn did the right thing in just having it being about Peacemaker, and he did it right, and it was a really good finish, and I'm looking forward to the fact that they've announced season 2 already. So I'm really encourage you, if you've not watched this show already, check it out, because overall, from start to finish, I think it was a really good show, well thought out show. I didn't think there was any episodes as well that dipped. I think some recent shows I've watched were, you get them episodes, even like The Mandalorian and Boba Fett. I enjoyed the show, but there's certainly episodes where you switch off a bit. But for Peacemaker, I'll be honest with you, a lot of the episode, I'd probably say, I can't think of one episode where I feel like it was a bit of a filler episode. I feel like every episode was really important to the story and made sense in the story, and I really enjoyed it all. So Peacemaker is one well worth checking out. What else I want to discuss? What else has been on the screen this week? Doctor Strange 2, the Super Bowl trailer came out this past week. Fantastic trailer. We also, in this, we see Patrick Stewart, who is heavily rumoured to feature. You hear his voice. I listened back to it. I'm like, is it definitely his voice? But apparently it is his voice in the trailer. And you see like a silhouette. You see like a character, and it could be him. I think it probably is him. And you see he's obviously going to be a part, by the sounds of what I've been reading online, of the Illuminati, this secret group of Avengers who deal with like the multiverse. And they take Doctor Strange captive because of his crimes against the multiverse, which is going to be interesting. So it's going to be, who are the other Avengers, the other Illuminati members going to be? That is going to be the exciting part, and I suppose that's where it comes in, where you can have all these different characters come out from different movies, like the Fox movies. You could have a Wolverine in there. You could have any character. You could, like, the original. I know it's been rumoured that John Krasinski is going to star in this movie as Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, or a variant of him. And this is obviously where he could feature in this scene, where it's like this court that are judging Doctor Strange for his crimes. But I also thought, will he feature, or will they go to the guy who played Reed Richards, the British guy in the two Fantastic Four movies with Fox? Maybe they'll go with him and do that as a variant and leave John Krasinski for the Fantastic Four movie, because it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt like a potential future movie with a recast, I don't think. And I think that guy is a pretty decent actor as well. And just the fact now I think you can do variants. You can take just like really weird Marvel movies from years ago, and you can take a character from that and just say they're from another universe, and that can be that version. I think it might work better to do something like that, and maybe I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but I think this is where you're going to get a lot of them cameos coming in. And it was an exciting trailer. It was just a mind-boggling trailer. I'm excited for this film. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome to see. So definitely my trailer of the Super Bowl for sure. But anyway, yeah, that is what's been on my screen this past week. But that is it for the show for today. Yeah, if you enjoyed this podcast today, please do give it a like and leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening via a podcast app, please do leave a review. It helps the show to grow, and that's what we want this to happen. We want the show to grow even bigger and the community to grow even bigger as well. So I do appreciate if you do that. But let me know your thoughts on today's show. What would be your Toy Story dream movie spin-off ideas? What did you think of my ideas? Did you think mine were good or bad? Let me know your thoughts on all the plots here on today's show. And let me know your thoughts on all the other movie and TV discussions on today's episode of the Movie Cheer podcast as well. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer. And as always, I will see you next time.